Male slavery in ancient Greece. From servant to concubine. Ancient Greece, a civilization known for its democratic ideals and philosophical contributions, also had a dark underbelly. While history often focuses on the celebrated philosophers and warriors, one aspect of Greek life remains largely unexplored: the lives of male concubines. These men, who were used for their physical attractiveness and political significance, were trapped in a paradox: elevated to the heights of power, yet enslaved by the very people they served. At first glance, it might seem that these men lived in luxury, attending lavish banquets and enjoying the company of the most powerful men in society. But their existence was anything but free. These male concubines, often chosen for their beauty and charm, were subjected to the whims of their masters. They were not allowed to form their own relationships or have a say in their future. Lives were How far could the male concubines control their fate? Were they simply tools in a game of power, or did they possess agency in the political decisions they influenced? What do you think? Were they able to manipulate the political environment around them, or were they always at the mercy of their masters? Share your thoughts in the comments. The brutality of the system. How a concubine's life could end tragically. The life of a male concubine in ancient Greece, despite its perceived luxury, was often marked by an eventual and tragic end. These men, once desired and admired for their beauty and utility, often faced harsh and brutal fates when they were no longer needed. The political machinations and personal ambitions of their masters could turn against them, leaving them discarded, forgotten, or worse. When a male concubine's political value diminished, or when a new lover was brought into the picture, their position could become precarious. Some concubines were executed, banished, or left to die in obscurity, their lives no longer seen as important. Others, despite their prior closeness to the powerful, became victims of betrayal or were forced into a life of misery once their masters found new political advantages. The tragic story of Pythagoras' lover, for example, illustrates the harrowing end many of these concubines faced. Despite being a well-loved companion of Pythagoras, after the philosopher's political downfall, Pythagoras' lover was exiled and his life ended in poverty. This example is just one of many, where male concubines who were once cherished and treated as royalty were thrown aside once they no longer served a purpose. What makes their story even more heart-wrenching is the lack of agency these men had in their fate. Their lives, though once intertwined with the most powerful figures of their time, were dictated by the whims and political needs of their masters. They were neither seen as true partners, nor as human beings deserving of freedom. They were objects to be discarded once they outlived their usefulness. Male concubines, often discarded in their prime or left to suffer after their political significance was gone, could be a reminder of how even the most celebrated men in history can end up forgotten and alone. Could these male concubines ever truly find freedom? Or was their fate sealed the moment they entered into a relationship of power and subjugation? Do you believe that despite their intimate relationships with powerful figures, these men had any control over their destiny? Or were they doomed to be pawns? Share your opinions in the comments. The legacy of male concubines, forgotten heroes, or mere playthings of history. As time passes, the stories of male concubines in ancient Greece often become overshadowed by the grand narratives of great warriors, philosophers, and kings. Yet, their legacy, though largely forgotten or erased by history, offers profound lessons about power, vulnerability, and the human condition. These men were not mere victims of circumstance. Their existence, marked by intimacy, manipulation, and tragedy, raises questions about agency, freedom, and the cost of political power. Male concubines were unique in that they existed at the intersection of personal desire and political necessity. They were desired for their beauty, intelligence, and charm, but their roles often went far beyond the bedroom. They were tools, pawns, and sometimes trusted confidants in the political maneuverings of powerful figures. Yet, despite their proximity to power, their fates were sealed by their lack of autonomy. In many ways, they were forced to live in the shadows, their humanity reduced to an instrument of political will. The legacy of these men is not simply that of tragic lovers. Their stories, while often forgotten, are critical in understanding the complexities of power dynamics in ancient Greece. Their roles were central to the political games of their time, and their eventual tragic end reflects the harsh realities of living in a world where love and power were inextricably linked. The fact that these men are largely erased from the historical record speaks volumes about the way power controls not only the public sphere, but the most intimate aspects of life. Were they heroes in their own right? Could they have shaped the course of history, even if they didn't have the power to do so in a conventional sense? The answers to these questions remain lost to time, but their stories serve as a reminder of the human cost of political ambition. Were these men heroes whose contributions to politics and society have been forgotten, or were they simply playthings in a game of power with no real agency? Do you think their lives and legacies deserve more recognition, or were they truly just pawns in the grand game of history? Share your thoughts in the comments.